Yo, what's happening, guys? Welcome to a brand new edition of Rave Diaries and Tower Block Tales. I hope everyone is good. As always, just want to start out by saying thank you for all of the views and the likes and the comments and the subscribes on this channel and on the other one with the Run Come Follow Uncle Dog's video diary. Big up you lot. Thank you very much. So, on today's episode, we're taking you back to 1996, 1997, just as it was turning to 1998. It was about a year of my life that I spent working for a record label called Ice Cream Records, which was a garage record label. I've got to big up Kid Andy, or he's not Kid Andy, he's Andy Lysandra, I think his last name was, baiting him up. But yeah, Andy was Boogie Beat, which we'll get to in a minute, and he was Ice Cream Records. He was also True Steppers with who had hits with Dane Bowers and Posh Spice and all of them like that. I think it was him and Johnny L that was True Steppers. But let's go back to the start of the story and we'll get through all that as we go. So 1996, I was still playing jungle music, and truth be told, I didn't like garage music at all. I was a junglist, like, to the core, you know what I mean? And I thought that every other music was the enemy, pretty much, you know what I mean? So I didn't give garage the time of day, but I wanted to be involved in the scene in some way, shape or form. I wanted to work within it. And I remember reading a magazine, I think it might have been the Scene magazine, in 1996, and there was a record label from the 90s that I knew because I bought a lot of their records, called Boogie Beat Records, that were now Boogie Beat Distribution. I saw it was the same. Look, it's this here. See that now? See that little the label there? Yeah, that's the Boogie Beat logo. It's the same logo that it's been since early 90s when I was buying all their tunes, like Rizla Bass and the Kinetic EP and the Weekend Rush EPs. All of them were on Boogie Beat. So when I saw the logo, it caught my eye, and they were advertising for a van driver for the distribution company. So I contacted Andy. I didn't know it was going to be Andy, but I rung this number here, the 01992. I won't say the rest of it, but that was his house number back then. And as soon as he picked the phone up, I knew his voice, because he used to do adverts for Fonda and Joy back in the day when it was a Club Raw on Ganton Street. And as soon as he picked the phone, he's got a very distinctive voice, Andy. I knew it straight away, and we just got talking, and obviously got onto the label. We just got on like a house on fire straight away. He said to me, "Mate, the job's yours if you want it." So, he knew that I didn't know anything about garage, and I had no massive interest in garage at that time. But I was keen, and there was no one better to do the job than me. So off we bopped into into the unknown. So I had a white Escort van at the time, D-Reg Escort van. I had it from when I was a plumber. Towards the end of my plumbing, I had this white Escort van, and I still had it. So that was obviously well handy, because I was now distributing records. And the deal that it was, there wasn't any sort of wages as such. It was all based on commission and a bit of petrol. Obviously, I was going to be driving around all over the place. But truth be told, I know it sounds mad, but I didn't even care. Like, I really didn't care. Obviously, I needed money to live and to get by, but much like the Orlake story, I think it might have been the last video that I did. This wasn't about the money. It was about being part of the machine, getting involved, getting behind the curtain and having a little look, and not just being a spectator, but being an actual, like, a player in the game. So Andy came from North London, over Hornsey Road, over that side. So there was a lock up over there with a lot of the stuff that we distributed. But also at the time we worked with a guy called Steve from ICAS Distribution. Hope you're out there, Steve, and hope you're all right, mate. I ain't seen you for years. But yeah, he had a lock up in Walthamstow, just on Black Horse Road, I think it's called. Is that the name of the road? Black Horse Road? Just on the crossroads where the old the Standard music venue is, just across the road to there. So I've gone and met these guys, you know, I've met Andy by now and we've had a drink and a chat. He had a little, at the time, he had a little Volkswagen, like a Clipper, you know, the old school ones, Volkswagen Golf, lovely little thing, roof down and all that, proper. So anyway, we went over to the Walthamstow place and I've got my first load of records. Now, at this time, Ice Cream Records were only just getting established. I joined when they was on number 2. Flake 002 is the catalogue number. But even by number 2, you know, when I started the job, I didn't know the tunes. I didn't know anything about the label. I just knew Andy, Boogie Beat. Boom, that's it. But as I started going into the shops and trying to sell all the stuff that we had, the only thing people cared about from the first release onto the second release when I joined, but by the third release definitely, was Ice Cream Records. From very, very early, people were onto that sound and they knew that it was something really special and something good. So we only had that label on the go. And as in demand as that was, the releases they weren't sporadic as in terms of no plan, but there wasn't ice cream every week. Like they would be once every month to 2 months, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. So in between we had all this other stuff that we were distributing, which was all crap, to be honest with you. It was either crap or other distributors had already done the rounds of it before, so we were just picking up scraps along the way. We used to go over to a place called Amato Distribution over by Kensal Rise and get some bits and bobs from them, but obviously they've already distributed all the stuff. So the only thing we had that was strong, and we had like 100% sole control of it, was Ice Cream Records. And as the catalogue started to build, like it became a really big in-demand label, which we'll talk about as we go. So I had to learn some routes. Like at that time, 1996, when I started there, I travelled about a bit, but not that much. So that's why this book is so important, yeah. So this book was like my Bible when I was working, and it's got here. I mean, on the inside first few pages, I don't even know whether you lot need to see this or not because it's boring. But like these are the routes I used to take. So there was east and northeast, which was Music Power, Hard House in Montford, Boogie Times, Crazy Beat Upminster, Sound Zone Basildon, Armageddon Southend, Vinyl Rhythm Southend, Underworld Colchester, Underground Connection, and then Bone Dragon, which was in Frinton on Sea. That was one day. The Kent one was Vinyl Conflict, Uncut Records, Hard to Beat, Dartford, Biting Back to Back, Richards Records, going out to Sonic Records in Margate. I'll go through them because I've got all the shops written down in the back. But basically, one day I would do West End. One day I would do East London going out to Essex. One day going south, north, you know, north, east, south and west. You know, makes sense. And one day spent in the West End. But as far as I went north, like this is how far I went. So I was living in Dagenham. I would drive to Walthamstow or Hornsey to pick the tunes up. And then on the north run, I would go up as far as, if I got enough time, I would get to Rugby. But usually I would only make it as far as Northampton. I used to get to Northampton and I still had Kettering and Rugby to do after that. But I never really made it that far because it was a long old day, a lot of traffic, and obviously in every shop you're having a chit chat and selling your tunes and blah blah blah. So Ice Cream Records, I mean I've got all the sales as well in the back of this. It's mad because let me just run through a few of these like shops here and what they was like, what they were buying. So in the very early days, like you can see, I was working day to day. I've got what the shops were, how many was sold, what the price was, the VAT, the total that actually paid, and then further down the line, I started adding in what my total was. So, but a lot of days I wasn't working because we didn't have stock. So, like for instance, this day, this was going up to North. This was, I think, yeah. So I started in Music Power in Haringey. Then I went to Wax Factor, then Gosh Records, then Daddy Arms House, which was in Hitchin. That was when Nookie worked. I met Nookie there for the first time. Easy Records, LNA, whatever that is. Spinner Disc, which I think was in Northampton maybe. Fat Tracks, and then Vibes Records in Milton Keynes, which I ended up becoming really good friends with them. But yeah, that was just one day out, and like Vibes Records took 20 that day. Fat Tracks had 19 tunes. I was literally sold 39, 49, 59, 69, about 75 records that day, and out of that I earned 20 quid. So I've drove all that way, done all that time, and all of that malarkey for 20 quid. But at the time, that was the best day I'd had so far. But like I say, as the label built, how it ended up working was the stuff that we carried usually, I didn't earn any money off. But then Ice Cream would press the next press, and I would go around to a shop and I would pick up, like, you know, in that week, I'm trying to look for a good week here while I flick through this, going up to 50 quid I earned that day. Which is peanuts. Even in this era, it was peanuts. But like I say, I really didn't care, because this era of my life, I kind of half knew it at the time, but it stood me in really, really, really good stead for the rest of my life. The people I met, the connections that I made, what I learned, and what this label ended up being over the course of the releases I was there and after, cemented me a little bit more into this world that I was moving in now. So yeah, here we go. So that day there, I earned 200 quid that day. People had started taking 60 Pure Groove, 60 Record Village, 65 Criminal Records, 60 UDM, 60, you know, Pulse for Music, 90, Rhythm Division, 35. So just in that East London run around that day, I've earned a couple of hundred quid. So it did start to build up, but that wasn't every day, like I say. Like, you know, the following week here, I'm down to 20 quid again, 60 quid, 20 quid, 40 quid. So it wasn't like I was like creaming a few hundred quid every day of my life. But when the big Ice Cream Records releases dropped, that was good times, mate. And I would go into the shop and they would be like, it went from, when I first used to go around there, they would kind of palm me a little bit, because obviously you had other distributors that had a lot better stock and a lot better stuff. But once they realised we had this one thing that everybody wanted, I started getting treated differently when I went in there. They would buy stuff off us that they didn't really even want on the other weeks, just to keep us happy, so they could get the amount of stock they wanted when we had the ones that they wanted. So I have to now mention Tim and Omar, RIP Productions, that was the name that they were called. Tim is known as Tim Deluxe. You would maybe know him as that tune, It Just Won't Do Without You, la 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 la. He made that after the Ice Cream stuff. But Tim and Omar, up until double figure releases, 10, 11, 12, whatever it would have been, they made every track on Ice Cream Records. They were 3 track EPs, 1 on the A side, 2 on the B side. They were pretty much rip-offy a little bit tunes, because when I listen back to them now, there's a lot of other elements of other songs that were current at that time or just previous that are added into their tunes. But there's no doubt about it, they had a massive talent for making music and making bangers, like not just music, hits from number 1 right the way through. I left the label at number 10, which we'll get to at the end of this story. But that label was hugely, hugely influential and instrumental in the evolution of garage from the kind of US sounding 4/4 sound of the mid-90s up until it was to become speed garage, which came a little bit further down the line. Ice Cream played a massive, massive part in that process. So I was getting around all the shops, and I'm going to talk about all the shops individually further down the line, because I had some good relationships with some of them. But I don't want to just include them in a video and par them. So the ones that I had good times, good relationships, and I've got stories about, we'll do videos about them further down the line. But over the time I worked there, the year, I got to know so many people in so many different record shops. But the problem that comes with that is, when you're a vinyl addict, like I was back then, the pittance that I was earning for doing this job, I was just spending. I mean, in the back of this, look, it says here, old tunes wanted, Frankie Knuckles, anything. Tony Scott, Rebel MC, anything, Oranges and Lemons. I didn't have these on vinyl at the time. So when I was going around places like, what was the gaff in Croydon, where Hatcher and Artwork and all of them lot, Big Apple. Round the back of Big Apple used to sell some good old school as well, to be fair, but round the back there's a place called Beano's, which was a second-hand record shop, 2 floors, massive. So all the bits and bobs of money that I had coming in, I was just spending on records, because I built up great relationships. I was getting money off of records that I wanted to buy. Mate, it was like a never-ending circle of going nowhere financially very fast. But I was their DJ for a while. I was the official Ice Cream Records DJ. at the time it didn't really mean a great deal. Me and Andy, I remember we went and did a legal radio show, which for me at the time was bonkers, over in West London somewhere. And probably if I'd have stuck around long enough, I might have ended up being like a kind of tour DJ of some sort, maybe. But I didn't really get to the point where everything started to really sort of pop off. So we've gone through the catalogue. I stopped joint at number 2. By number 10, which was a tune that you would all know, it's called Rip Groove, you know the one. It came out as a double pack, ice cream double pack. Now, I remember Andy phoning me, must have been maybe, let's say September, maybe to October of 1996, and playing Rip Groove down the phone to me, yeah? No one had heard it. It literally just been, he had it on the DAT, it hadn't even been cut onto dub, no one had played it in a club. They'd just made it, Tim and Omar had just made this tune, Rip Groove, yeah? He played it down the phone to me, and even down the Tim Pot phone in 1996, I remember being so, I mean, I never knew it was going to be as big as what, it literally changed the garage scene, that tune, so I didn't see that coming, but I knew that this was a hit record, and Andy knew it was a hit record. And this was going to be the tune that like was the Christmas release for us. So like I'm thinking, you know what I mean? Kushti got the double pack. There's a little couple of quid extra earnings on that. Plus it's this massive hit record. It had Jump, 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 Jump. That was on it as well. I can't remember the others. It was a 4-track double EP. Open that thing. And Christmas was going to be nice. So from then up until Christmas, we had nothing in stock because we was waiting to push this big new release that we had. And it got put back. It got put back until January. And I remember, because I used to have people saying to me, like family members and whatnot, why are you working for this guy, doing this stuff? Like, he's mugging you off, da da da. And I'm like, well, it's not really, because he offered me a job on some terms and I took it. So if anything, I'm mugging myself off, but I ain't bothered about that. Like, this is what I want to do. This is the world I want to live in. And if I have to do some shit along the way to get to where I want to get to, then I'm prepared to do it. You don't understand it. I don't expect you to, but this is my journey. But you know, when that happened, yeah, October, November, it would have been like this early December when he told me that they was pulling the plug till after Christmas. And it completely ruined my Christmas. Like, because we hadn't had much work in that run-up, I was literally banking on this to pay for everything for my Christmas of 96. And it fell through. And I went mad. I literally lost my flipping rag. Andy threatened him. Just lost the plot, mate. Told him stick his job. You know, if I ever see you, all that kind of talk. Da 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 da. And then obviously I've got the old told you so, you know, that don't make things any better, does it? Yeah, told you that, yeah, all that crap that comes when something like this happens. So that was that. The journey was over, Ice Cream Records. And I mean, it's funny because me and Andy are closer friends now than we ever were back then. You know, he was trying to do his thing and I was just trying to get somewhere, and it was all to happen for both of us. The journey he was just about to go on with True Steppers and Ice Cream Records was literally to change his life for the good in so many ways. But also, it's always a double-edged sword, isn't it? Success isn't what people think. And it came with its hard times and sad times for Andy and everyone involved, you know, along the way with that whole thing. You know, Brian Harvey, for instance, was a big part of that story as well. The True Steppers era of Andy's life. And you know, like, you know, it's different, completely different story to what I'm talking about. But my point is, it's mad that you can go through something with somebody, and we were so close for that year and we really wanted to change the world. And obviously Ice Cream went on to change the world in its own way. And in the end, you know, I had my own go of it, even though it was further down the line. But yeah, when we talk about it now, it's so lovely to reminisce over something that was such a huge thing, and neither of us really saw it coming. You know, we watched it gradually build, but the number 10, Flake 010 Ice Cream Records, that changed everything. So I left, put the phone down on him after telling him I was going to do whatever I was going to do next time I saw him in a record shop, and I left. And Then I started hearing the tune. I mean, it was already being played on dub because it had been out on the dub in the run up to Christmas. But then the test presses landed, and then the promos landed, and then the release landed, and you know the tune, Rip Groove. It's a game-changing garage tune. You know, the start of that whole bassline speed garage, ragga garage flipping, whatever you want to call it. That is one of the seeds of that movement that went on to spawn, you know, everything that came afterwards, including your Grimes and all of that. This was like bass heavy. It sampled Soft Cell, Tainted Love, and which was used in a few tunes over the years, but it was that there, and it had the Brockwile and all of that on it, and it just killed the whole scene dead. Like, it changed everything. It changed how people made music. They started making music that sounded like that after it come out. Now, obviously, I can appreciate it was a great tune, and it is a great tune, but at the time, like, I couldn't get away from it, you know what I mean? And I was so fuming, but the final, I can laugh about it now, but the final nail in the coffin, I was sitting in my house in Dagenham, in my mum and dad's house, 1997, Top of the Pops is on. I hear the intro come on. It's a very distinctive intro. I look up, Andy and Johnny L. Pretty sure it was Johnny L. It must be them two that brought it together. It might have been someone else, can't remember. But anyway, they're on Top of the Pops playing the keyboard, and Top Cat is doing a new vocal remix. You know, the one in it over Rip Groove. And like, not only was I like fuming, because I'm like, you bastard. You know what I mean? I should be doing this with you. Like, even if I'm not on top of the pop, I should be part of this journey. But now they've got Top Cat. And them times I didn't know no Jungle Man. I was like trying to still get into everything. You know, I didn't know anyone. Literally nobody in the scene. And now they've got Top Cat, my favourite, singing over the tune that got played down the phone to me that I should have been a part of. And oh mate, I was so fuming and so gutted, and I felt so empty, and I felt like let down because I'd done so much for them. Like, other people wouldn't have give the time and the effort and the love to that project of building up that label as a driver that I did. Because like I've said it in previous videos, when I care about something, I care. Like, I mean, like, I own it even though I don't. And I just felt really flipping hard done by it. But that was my first real lesson in shit happens sometimes, you know, in life, in this game, in this music thing. And at the time, it can seem like it's the biggest thing. This was a huge lesson. When I left Rinse, when me and Genius had the big argument at the end of that the first time around, and I left Rinse in 2005 at the end. At the time, I felt the same. I felt like I'd done loads and I weren't appreciated and all that. And then, you know, you look back over the years after life changes, and you either never talk to these people again, but in Andy's case and Genius's, a lot closer now than we ever were. And you look back and laugh because it is what it is, you know, it's all part of our journey. A lot of the times, the people that, you know, I blamed Andy at the time, he was just trying to do his thing, finding his way and dealing with successes that he never dreamed or thought would come his way. So, you know, did he make mistakes along the way? Yeah, probably. Did I make mistakes along the way? Yeah, definitely. Would I change any of it? None of it. Because now it's part of my story. I just couldn't see it at the time, obviously. Firstly, I was young. Secondly, it was my first real experiences in doing real music stuff in a real, you know, in a real industry capacity. So I just felt like, because I'm honest, true, and I was giving my all, that should be reciprocated. And, you know, it just wasn't meant to be for that time. But when I look back now, what a proud moment it is to say that I was a huge part of Ice Cream Records from its infancy up until it was flew off into the sky with that release number 10. And then afterwards, you know, once I'd calmed down, Andy was doing the True Steppers stuff, and I would see him with like Posh Spice and David Beckham and all these people. Like, garage was so huge at that time, everybody was on it, and they was at the pinnacle of the kind of pop side of garage, that commercial side. And, you know, by then I'd calmed down and I was happy for him. And then we got to talking again, and then now, like I say, we're really good friends, and I love him to bits, and I'm proud of what he achieved with Boogie Beat as a record label that went on to a distribution and went on to Ice Cream, that went on to be a massive game changer in the garage era. And I'm thankful and grateful that he gave me the opportunity to be a part of that, to be a part of Boogie Beat and Ice Cream Records, and the opportunities and the foundations and the stories and the people that I met along that way, they've served me in good stead since. They're more than enough payoff for what I feel I didn't get back then. More than enough. But you need to grow up and look back sometimes, isn't it? You know, not to say that you don't want to be paid for stuff now. Don't none of you not get any idea out there that things have changed. But I'm just saying, for this moment in my life when I was looking for a route in, it served its purpose times a million. So the decision that I took to take a job that didn't pay well, with no huge prospects of, you know, elevating to a management position, there was nothing like that. I was a van driver for a not very good distribution company with a budding label that potentially could have done well, but potentially could have gone down the pan. I mean, at that time, there was a few big labels coming through at that time. Ice Cream ended up being one of the ones with Public Demand and a few of the others that really took it all the way. So yeah, really, really proud. And another story for Rave, Diaries and Tower Block Towers. But like I say, I'm gonna do some about the record shops and the characters along the way. But yeah, this is just like, yeah, it's all, there's little notes next to some of the stuff as well, what people wanted, what they said, next to all the shops. But it's mad. I mean, look, if you're interested in this thing, I'll go through some of the shops because some of these might be in the area. But if you've had enough already, thank you for viewing. You don't have to listen to this, but I'm just going to reel off a load of record shop names from 1996 and 7. All right, but thank you for watching. Right, we're ready? Music, Power, Rhythm and Bass, Boogie Time, Sound Zone, Upper Basement, Armageddon, Vinyl Rhythm, Vinyl Rhythms, Underground Connections, Daddy Arms House, Vibes Records, Fat Tracks, Easy Records, Needlepoint, Wax Factor, Spinner Disc, Bluebird Records, Scratch Masters, Infectious, Stax Records, Wax City, Richards Records, Hard to Beat, Biting Back, 24K or 24 Karat Gold, Razor Records, Black Market Records, Unity Records, Unit 2, Chucky's, Eucatech, Plastic Fantastic, Hard House Records, Crazy Beats, Sound Zone, Wax Factor, Gosh Records. I'm trying to not double up on any. It's crazy though, as you can see there, Plastic Surgery down in Maidstone, Tart Records, Dubwise, Geezers and Bades, Hummingbird, Loppy Lugs, Crunch Records, Dance Time, Pure Platinum. I think that's about it really. I mean, LPs, Rugged, Mighty Atom, Rough House 2, Sugar Shack, King Size. Crazy, isn't it? There was so many. Total Music, Rhythm Division, Pulse for Music, E4, to Uncut Records. Yeah, I think I said that one already. Yeah, loads. As you can see, there was loads and loads and loads, and it's just mad. I mean, I don't think I actually had to write this out to give to Andy for any proof because we had invoices. This was more just my notes because I liked keeping a record of obviously what I was to be paid, but also I like keeping a record of just stuff, you know, just because I'm weird. I mean, like in the back of it, I'm stuck in traffic. It says here, I'm sitting on the M25 in fuck knows how much traffic, listening to Where Is the Love on Kiss FM. The date is the 4th of July 1996. The time is 6:05. The car in front of me is a Rover 214 SLI, registration K817VAY. Just in front of the middle lane is an A van, so that could be handy if I overeat or crash into the car in front while writing. I've got a quarter of a joint in the ashtray. I'm trying desperately hard not to light it because I've got no more gear left. Same old story. It seems like every number plate I look at, I've crossed that bit out, is something. Traffic moved for about half a mile. Dartford Tunnel is only 39 miles away. Even the cows on the right are looking at us thinking, look at those silly C's sweating up. And so on and so forth. So I must have been stuck in traffic this day and bored. Yeah, at least Rodigan is making me laugh. I allowed myself 3 puffs on the joint. I needed it after looking at the distance between where I am now and where I want to turn off. So I don't know why I wrote these things in my life. I've got books and books and books. Like we've got all these. I say all these, this is 2 of them, but I've got a box full of books. Some of them have got a lot of writing in. Some of them have only got 1 or 2 pages, but they're all part of this thing that I've always done of writing stuff down and keeping stuff and documenting stuff. And some of them are not going to be stories worth telling, but in amongst all of these things, there's some nuggets, and look, delivering the record shop back in 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you. Oh dear, that Del Boy. Anyway, that was the story of Boogie Beat and Ice Cream. Big up on my UK garage crew. Shout out to Andy and Tim and Omar, Steve Icaz, and everyone that played a part of that journey through 96 and 97 with me. And thank you to you lot for watching. Alright, we will see you on the next edition of Rave Diaries and Tower Block Tales. Don't forget to comment underneath. I reply to every comment. I love reading through them. If you've got any stories about Ice Cream Records or your local record shops or whatever, feel free to put them underneath. When you're watching the other videos, feel free to comment under all of them. I literally love reading them and I reply to all of them. So yeah, peace and love to you all. We'll see you on the next one. Yeah, we're out of here.